Hey guys, new week of astrology. Let's get into it as we are on our way out of our Capricorn full moon energy that we had play out this past Friday into Saturday. And the energy that we have coming in this week is quite exemplary of that full moon itself. If you guys watched my full moon video, I was talking about how to me that chart looked like an indication of some rising tensions over this next couple of weeks. And I feel like the energy this week is kind of mirroring that. We do start the week this week with the moon in Aquarius, conjuncting Pluto, trining Jupiter, but squaring Mars. There could be some anger, some frustration, some irritation, some generalized conflict that is going on somehow. And we have another very Saturnian week that we are going to begin moving through. Saturn's actually going to station retrograde on Saturday, June 29th. And as we approach Saturn's station, we're also going to have the moon transiting Pisces, making a conjunction to Saturn, making a conjunction to Neptune, who is still in that exact opposition with the black moon that we've been talking so much about, and that also colored a lot of what went on with that full moon in Capricorn that we just had. So I do feel like this is a week that could be mirroring the full moon energy that we had that was indicating some elevating levels of tension coming in over this next couple of weeks. So that could be a perceived notion out there. That being said, let's get into it. Let's talk about what we do have all going on to start our week this week and what we're looking at as we move towards the weekend. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Monday, June 24th, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day where we are narrating the shift of the ages. If you guys stick with me until the end of this report, I've done a collective tarot reading for us today as well. I like to tap the energy field from more than one modality whenever I'm doing these energy overviews, just to get a more well-rounded overview of what's going on in our energetic field out there. So there could be some messages in there for you. That's going to be at the end. Let's get into the astrology of the week. It's very interesting to me the way that things are playing out this week. As I said in my intro, I do feel like the basic underlying tone energetic blueprint this week is very much a reflection of a mirror of, which to me is playing right on the other themes that I've been talking about that have been so apparent this Gemini season, about reflection, about things being mirrored back to us, about things being doubled. Of course, that's always a theme when we have Gemini season going on, but we have Jupiter in Gemini right now, and that dynamic, that aspect of the Gemini energy, the Gemini archetype, the doubling of things, the mirroring of things, the reflection of things, I feel like has just been super hyper highlighted and prominent in this particular Gemini season, to a greater extent than it normally is when we're looking at a Gemini season. That being said, we do have a week that is very much so reflecting this full moon energy. So if you watched that video, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't watch that video and you are interested in what's going on in our energy field right now and how that is impacting and trickling down into how things are playing out for us on the ground, you might want to check that one out, because we're just in that energy. And it was interesting because to me, that particular full moon that we're in right now, that full moon in Capricorn that we just had, which was happening essentially simultaneous to the solstice, it was indicating what is to come. I felt like it was sort of a setup chart, you know what I mean? I was seeing it as a grand cross. A lot of astrologers that don't include the black moon in their analysis were probably calling it a T-square. I personally am looking at it as a grand cross because I'm also including the black moon, who is in an exact opposition to Neptune right now. If the opposition was not exact to the degree, I would not be including it to the same extent as that grand cross, but because the black moon functions and works in oppositions, and this opposition is exact, and not only is it exact, it's exact at 29 degrees as the black moon ends her transit of the sign of Virgo that's been going on the past 9 months, and Neptune prepares to wrap up his transit of Pisces. Now Neptune will retrograde. Neptune is not about to enter Aries right now. However, just being at that 29th degree, it's also sort of a preview of what is to come along these lines in the context of the Neptunian energy and activation and what it's doing for us right now. So I will also tell you guys, you know, the impact, the endings, what is breaking down right now, the like unconscious, subconscious reprogramming that sort of we're on the brink of teetering on right now, the illusions that are breaking down, the spells that are breaking down, the waking up from maybe a dream that we feel like we've been in for a while that could be going on right now. This is actually a preview of what is going to really be dissolved over the coming year as Neptune does truly, after his retrograde, leave the sign of Pisces and enter the sign of Aries. That is going to be like some type of wake-up call. That is definitely going to be like awakening from some type of dream or slumber or spell or hypnosis, and that's all to come. But let's get back to where we're at right now. The reason that I'm talking about that is because it's been so prominent and it was such a strong feature of our Capricorn full moon chart that we are in right now. And it is also a strong feature of the energy this week, which is why, one reason why I'm saying that I feel like this week is very much mirroring, reflecting, and like flushing out the energy that was indicated in that full moon, which I'm bringing up because I feel like that full moon was sort of like the game plan for where we're going over this next couple of weeks. And with that grand cross that it was forming, or the T-square, however you're looking at it, I feel like that is indicating that like we have come to like the crucial crossroads between the past and the future. 29 degrees of the sign of Neptune in the sign of Pisces, and then the first degree of the full moon in the Cancer Capricorn axis, while we have Saturn ruling the sign of Capricorn, also in the sign of Pisces, preparing to go retrograde. Like this is representing to me like some type of change of guard, some type of transition of power, some type of like shifting dynamic in terms of where the like dominating force is accumulating right now energetically in like when it comes to sort of like the old and the new, the past and the future, where we've been and where we're going, kind of like the old order breaking down and this new world that is emerging from the ashes, and the push and pull and tug of war between those two dynamics and the challenges that need to be overcome in the process of transitioning from the old into the new. Okay, and also, you know, what needs to happen in order so that the old can let go and surrender to this emergence of the new, and all issues and all coming up along like all these types of themes and stuff like that. That is what I felt like was really being indicated with this full moon chart that we're coming out of right now. And this week is like exacerbating that. Like we are flowing into that energy with all of this prominent water energy right now as well as we move through the energy of this week. Now I will say, with those squares setting up for that full moon chart, that was indicating to me a pending 2-week period that we were going to have sort of tension building, things coming to a head, things coming into a climax. And it's also interesting to me because when we push it out a little bit and we look at what's coming down the road in July, we are also heading directly towards right now a Mars-Uranus conjunction. That only happens every 2 years, okay? Mars is our action, our behavior, like what we're doing and how we're using our energy. Uranus, of course, is sudden change, like an impulsive, sudden, radical change somehow. We are heading towards, in mid-July, probably microcosm, macrocosm, either personal, some type of personal dynamic change in the way that we're using our energy, the way that we're like doing life, like some area of our life radically altered by some personal change that we decide to make in the way that we're implementing or using our energy, or some macrocosm, like world stage type of like big explosive event that like radically changes things somehow going on. Or we could see both of those things kind of like happening simultaneously. But that, to me, that Mars-Uranus conjunction that we have coming up in July, like a lot, I feel like, of the energy that was indicated with that full moon and in the energy of this week is actually like building into something that is going to cause some type of change that comes with that. Okay, so all of that being said, it's no surprise, it comes as no surprise that we're being introduced to our week on Monday with probably a sense maybe of some generalized tension that's going on. Now we have the moon in early Aquarius on Monday, will be first forming a square or a conjunction to Pluto retrograde in early Aquarius, before then moving on and forming a trine to Jupiter and also a square to Mars. Now this makes me feel like with a trine to Jupiter and air signs and the moon there and Pluto there, it makes me feel like, and then squaring Mars also, that some type of conflict, moon square Mars is usually some type of an internal conflict or just a sense of like internalized anger going on, or something that is just like frustrations that we're coming up against, frustration or restriction. Mars is in the sign of Taurus. This is like, there could be something like stubborn or willful or immovable that is just making us feel blocked, or like digging in its heels, or just this very like determined, stubborn energy that is creating interference somehow, maybe having to do with Jupiter and Gemini, like our ideas or our ability to communicate something somehow, or our ability to like make progress and move forward. There could be just something that is really irritating us because it's blocking our ability to like do what needs to be done, or to like help us get the job done, or whatever like needs to be facilitated in order to make something happen, just feeling restricted, or just some type of like conflict or something interfering with that could be contributing to this elevation in tension that is going on, you know, kind of like an underlying feeling throughout the course of the day, blocked, limited, helpless in some capacity as well. Maybe like there's nothing you can do about it also, like that's kind of the vibe that I feel like coming through here. Like it could be a kind of sticky week, honestly, where we just feel like things are maybe a bit out of our control, and like we are being stifled in our progress, but there's just really, for whatever reason, like not much we can do about it at this point in time. We are moving towards, remember, some very strong Saturnian energy. Saturn, and we're coming out of strong Saturnian energy right now as well, because recently when the planets were transiting through the 20-degree range of Gemini a couple weeks back, they were all squaring Saturn and Pisces. Well, now this weekend, and then we had the Neptune squares, right? So we've been in this weird combination of Saturn and Neptune energy, which like those two vibes do not mesh well. Like they're very oppositional to each other. Like Saturn is literally the form and the structure and condenses things, and Neptune is literally like the erosion and the dissipation and the dissolving of things. So these two energies, like there's a very strange dynamic when they're coming together, and it may have been honestly like a very strange couple of weeks going on, but we had the strong Saturn energy, and then we had the strong Neptune energy with the Neptune squares this past week, and then we had the full moon in Capricorn, which was a strange blend of Saturnian Capricornian energy, but also like the Neptune black moon energy, and like the square like that, like the dissolving of the old ways and the old karma, making way for this new paradigm of feeling and experience and reality that's emerging, you know, within us and within the world around us. However, the resistance and the conflict between that new like energy coming into fruition and the old energy that's like gripping at the sides and like refusing to let go, you know. So that is basically, I feel like, the nature of how things have been playing out this past couple of weeks. And now here we are yet again in this week, still in this weird blending of Capricorn, Saturn retrograde, and also Neptune and the black moon and the moon activating it at the 29 degrees. So, you know, there's that. There could be issues with authority going on right now that make us feel like we have no control over a situation, or we could be coming to a point where we're willing to surrender some aspect of something in our lives somehow that has been controlling us, or that we have been surrendering power to, taking our power back somehow as well. But coming to the end of something, Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces, this is also, you know, karma. This is the past. This is belief systems. This has to do with control, tradition, authority, tensions building that are leading to some type of change. Another aspect that we have going on this week is the personal planets, Mercury and Venus, especially also the sun coming up next week, squaring the nodes of the moon. That is also the past and the future, destiny and karma, like where we're going, what we're growing into, and what we've got to release in order to be able to go through that process of growth and evolution. So there's very karmic energy coming through this week. And again, just like this sense of being caught in between. We're like in between the past and the future. I am not there yet, but I can't stay here. You know, it's in the conflict inherent that arises as a result of that, and like the tensions that are present in the process of both the release from something and the like approach, the birth, the emergence into something else. So all of that tension building into change, which I do think this huge change is going to be coming up mid-July of next month. So definitely coming to the end of something, probably a theme coming up this week also with Saturn about to station retrograde. This is karma. This is the past, belief systems, breakdowns, Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces, especially in authority, in control, in tradition somehow. And with the nodes being activated by square with the personal planets as well, like this is again like some perhaps like period that we are moving towards of a karmic release where we're finally ready to let go of something, where we're finally like something has finally run its course and it's, you know, on those greater levels, or you know, it is sort of like that ever let go to move on to become something new. And just the way that this whole setup is expressing itself at this period of time, in the context also of our transition of ages, it does feel like the dying empire up against the birth of this new world that is coming through. Like the 29-degree Neptune Pisces energy with the black moon in opposition, and then Saturn stationing retrograde while the moon is about to be transiting through Pisces this week, also activating these planets during this full moon cycle that was that square between Neptune at 29 and the full moon at 1 degree. I feel like this energy right now, and I've been talking about this, how it seems like it's like the tides. It's like the tide is in right now and it's, you know, swirling up everything that is no longer a vibrational match, I feel like, for the way that things are going forward. And when the tide goes out, I feel like it's going to take and like reclaim all the remnants, the lingering remnants of this Piscean era and Piscean age and Piscean energy that has refused to, you know, release its grip perhaps somehow on the old ways within our psyches, within our belief systems, within the world around us as this new Aquarian paradigm emerges now that will begin to establish itself in our reality over this next 20 years, and then we will expand forth into it throughout the course of the next 2,000 years. Actually, like this energy right now, like this period of time, it's like the old world reclaiming its own and releasing the energetic force fields, I feel like, that have been like established and overlaid and sort of holding in place this collective illusion that nothing is changing, when in reality everything is changing, and we're literally moving into a new paradigm of reality. And I would expect more and more people over the course of this next coming period of time that leads to, you know, like what's happening now, what's happening this week, what's happening this month and next month, the rest of the summer, and also throughout the course of this year and into 2025. I think people are going to be sort of like snapping out of it and coming to some type of realization or a growing sentiment that maybe they have felt like they've been under some type of mass hypnosis or just like a trance or something, like caught in some type of an illusion that is breaking down now, and people being like, whoa, you know, like what was I thinking? I didn't even realize that I was operating under such like I don't know, like distorted perceptions of things somehow. And we'll talk a lot more about this. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. You know, this is where we're going. As I said, this is the rest of the summer, the rest of 2024 and into 2025 as well. So that whole concept right there is going to be something that we're talking about more and not less moving forward, but refocusing back on where we are to start our week this week. I feel like energy is sort of indicating that things just generally may not feel like they're going our way. Don't be surprised if people are just, as I was talking about earlier, irritated, maybe a little bit just like angry about stuff. Depression as well could be a thing like this, but I do think it's because for the most part, people are going to be like trying to do something, trying to make something happen, trying to implement an idea, trying to have a conversation, trying to create a solution, like trying to move something forward, but for whatever reason, just feeling like they can't get their point across, or they can't get their message across, or nobody got the memo, or things are lost in translation, or there's literally like somebody who's like standing in their way and like won't move or something like that. Like there could be traffic issues that are making us late along those regards as well. And I also want to say, you know, I like to bring the symbolism into things to validate what's going on with the aspects themselves. I think that the positions actually of the sun and the earth in terms of their symbolic placement on Monday are kind of encapsulating the energy that we've got going on all week, and really a lot of what's going on with this full moon as well that we're in right now for the next 2 weeks, this full moon energy as we move towards the full moon in or the new moon in Cancer that will be coming up next. But we have the sun on Monday at 4 degrees of the sign of Cancer. That Sabian symbol is a cat arguing with a mouse. So there are some, you know, disputes, arguments, irreconcilable differences going on, things that are like just out of our grasp, very frustrating type of vibe coming through there. And then we've also got the position of the earth at 4 degrees of Capricorn. The earth is always in a exact opposition to the sun when we're talking about astrological placements. That Sabian symbol is a group of people entering a canoe for a journey by water, So a journey by water, moving on, setting sail, letting go, sailing off into the sunset, washing things clean, washing things away. And that also is right in alignment with that 29-degree Neptune energy that was very active as a presence in our full moon chart that was squaring the full moon, and this week that will be very active again as the moon transits through Pisces this week and will conjoin the black moon, or will conjoin Neptune while still in an opposition to the black moon before the black moon enters the sign of Libra. That's another thing that we have going on this week. We have the black moon changing signs. This only happens every 9 months, and it is going to give us an opportunity to do some shadow work along the Libra lines, the Libra themes that we're going to be working through in terms of maybe some subconscious issues or just some shadow side issues that are coming up over the course of the next 9 months. So that will be a vibe shift as well that is going to be happening. Actually, I think that also happens on Saturday when Saturn stations retrograde. I have to double check, but we'll be talking about that later this week as well. So I don't know, the group of people getting into a canoe for a journey by water, like to me that gives 6 of Swords vibes in the tarot. And again, also of course, like 29-degree Neptune and Pisces energy, letting go, setting sail, moving in a new direction. This water, it could also be like letting go of feelings that have kept us trapped or held us hostage in some type of a way. This week is about helping us to release the illusions of inadequacy and vulnerability that had detached us from our true selves and our power and our purpose in the past, but will no longer be running the same game of interference going forward as we are going through this energetic recalibration, wherein these old belief systems that were remnant from the Pisces era, that we needed to all school together, that we couldn't do it on our own, that we needed to surrender to some type of hierarchy of spiritual that we couldn't communicate with God like on our own, that we didn't have the power to communicate with spirit in a way that was individual to us, that we needed to go through some spiritual authority in order to have a relationship with God and the divine. Like those were very Piscean situations, okay, that really obviously were fundamental over the course of this past 2000 years, but now as we move into this new energy are going to break down, and that in and of itself is really going to create some major fundamental changes in our reality, because it's going to open things up, open up human potential in a way that it has not been allowed to be expressed in a very long time. And there's a lot more that goes into that when we talk about it regularly, but it's just a part of this process as we're transitioning ages, moving into the age of Aquarius, and also beginning to receive a greater amount of emanations from the galactic center as we actually come back into a closer proximity with the galactic center that is going to also grow over the next several thousand years. So that's where we're going. That's the direction we're headed in the coming weeks. As I was saying earlier, following this flush of old energy that's coming in right now, there is likely to be a surge of something radically new, especially in terms of our behavior, what we're doing, how we're acting, and how we want to spend and use our energy, and also our energy levels. There's going to be a surge of energy coming up here in the month of July, either, for better or worse. It's probably going to go, in two polarized octaves, as energy has a tendency of doing. But I do think this is indicating that we're going to be making some major changes in our behavior, in the way that we're acting, and generally just what we're doing in various areas and components, departments, dimensions of our lives over this next coming weeks, especially as we move towards the middle of July. And that is what I feel like the endings and the tension that is building right now to make these breakthroughs into this new way is really building and leading towards. The time to make big personal changes is what this energy is pushing for. It's where it's leading us, and that is what is going to be coming up next. So for now, you guys, it's the cat chasing the mouse and the group of people entering the canoe for a journey by water. Where are we going? What are we moving away from? What are we moving towards? What are we letting go of? What obstacles do we need to overcome? What storms do we need to endure on our journey to get to the new world? And what needless disputes and arguments and irreconcilable differences should we not waste our energy and time engaging in this week? Because ultimately, remember, and I've been talking about this, a lot of the blocks, a lot of the obstacles, a lot of the people standing in our way, a lot of the rules and the obstructions and the authorities and the things that are like overly oppressive and overly controlling and overly dominant right now, a lot of those are actually those remnants that I've been talking about that are on their way out. And a lot of them are also the illusion. Don't forget, we still have, and I'll be talking about it throughout the course of this week, the Black Moon and Neptune in opposition, okay? The Black Moon is our fears, our worries, our insecurities, and our doubts. In the sign of Virgo, specifically, this is going to be a fear of failure, a fear of being like worthless and inadequate and vulnerable and incapable and like not perfect, not good enough. Neptune is the illusion. Neptune is the dream. Neptune is the fantasy. Neptune is the nightmare. Neptune is like the unconscious mind and like our unconscious and subconscious programming as well. There are unconscious breakdowns and fears that have always been an illusion, but that have been the illusion that was more like our programming, more like the belief system that we were adhering to. We didn't realize it was an illusion, and as a result of that, it really limited our perception of ourselves, our capabilities, our potential, and our strength, okay, in the past. And as I said, what we're going through right now, I feel like this is some type of mental shift, mental activation happening amongst the collective of humanity. Not everybody's going to perceive it. Not everybody's going to demonstrate results of this. It's going to happen incrementally over time. But, those people who are attuned, who are resonating close enough to where we're going to be able to, calibrate to the vibration that is coming through right now, I think that it's going to become pretty evident that something has been distorted, that we've been perceiving something incoherently or incorrectly, or that we've been viewing a dimension of ourselves or our lives or our potential or what we're truly capable of or what our purpose is or something through some illusionary or illusory fear that has been controlling us and causing us to surrender our power or to not try or to like give up at something much more readily than we're realizing we ever should have. The ultimate impact of this, I do think, North Node in the sign of Aries. I've been talking about this for over a year now as well. Like, we are moving towards a personal leadership era where we are being called towards some higher purpose, activating some destiny, like pulling some inner warrior out of ourselves that is ready to like seize the day and move forward towards some mission, some journey, some hero's journey, with also the Chiron North Node conjunction that we've had going on that is breaking these karmic ties and letting us, like, unleashing us to move in this new direction where we are eventually going to come into alignment with these new frequencies that are a reflection of a more self-actualized version of ourselves that is going to help to anchor the new legacies and the new frequencies and the new energy, this Aquarian energy, onto the planet. That is why we're literally like laying the new foundations for the new world right now. We are seeding the new generations and the new legacies that are going to come into power over the course of, you know, this next 2,000 years or so, based on this new realigned energy, okay, that's rooting itself on the planet now. So enough of that, you guys, but big changes coming up, and these are the times where we are being supported in releasing the versions of ourselves from the past that may have prevented us from seeing who we truly are and becoming who universe has always intended us to be, that we are being aligned with now and moving forward. So I'm gonna stop talking now. That's what I have to say about the astrology, you guys. Let's talk about the tarot for a minute. To be completely honest, the messages coming through in the tarot are very reflective of what is being indicated in the astrology, and it's really funny to me too. Like, I can't get away from this word reflection. Everything is like reflective of itself. Everything is like mirroring everything right now, at least in the way that the energy is making itself known to me. So this is probably another week where you may really be reflecting on some things. There could really be like some things being bounced back to you somehow. There could be things, you know, this mirroring effect, things being doubled, polarities and oppositions. We are in Gemini season. Let's talk about the tarot as it's coming out. So being able to, coming to a recognition of and being able to release some maybe like toxic emotional states or some old emotional wounds or traumas that we've been holding on to that have been preventing us from seeing the truth of our power, okay, and that have been keeping us out of balance in some way or another, and that have been essentially keeping us blocked from knowing maybe what direction to move in. Let's talk about why I'm saying that. We have two sets of 3 cards and the Magician on the back. We've got the 4 of Pentacles, the Queen of Cups in reverse, and also the Hermit. Something this week about, I mean, the Hermit to me, it is a Virgo energy, but it's also to me about, like, it has a lot to do with like the Capricornian, or not so much Capricornian, but the Saturnian energy. Like the Hermit, I need to go within, I need to isolate ourselves. I was also talking about in my last video, or one of my last videos, how there is this need to withdraw right now, I feel like, coming through as well, with a lot of this Cancer energy, like the crab needing to go inside the shell, and also the the Saturnian energy that we've had so strong. And we did have a Capricorn full moon too. So a need to sort of maybe go within, go inside, be more focused on what's going on also maybe within like the home and the family and the dynamic of like the emotional flow of energy, paying special attention to that, maybe really like tuning in on what is out of balance emotionally within us. But the Queen of Cups in reverse to me also can speak of like toxic emotions, or like emotional manipulation, or a lack of emotional regulation and stuff like that. And with the 4 of Pentacles here and also the Hermit, I feel like this is sort of asking us to, like, you know, go within and figure out what we've been holding on to that has been detrimental or self-sabotaging or toxic to us on an emotional level somehow. And then with the next 3 cards that we have coming out. We've got the Eight of Cups in reverse. We've got the Eight of Swords in reverse. And then we've got the Three of Wands. It's like we need to sort out what emotional blockage has been preventing us from being able to really like more consciously choose the direction that we're going to be going in next. Like to achieve the like outcome of that which we consciously wish to do and create and experience, instead of perhaps attracting to ourselves the unconscious projection of that which is unhealed and unregulated within us. Okay, we're being released from some type of an emotional wound or some type of mental blockage that is helping us to see more clearly what we can create, what our potential is, you know, the direction that we wish to go in, to conceptualize more all that we essentially have the capacity to experience moving forward, if we can get rid of through gaining maybe some wisdom about whatever emotional blockage we've been you know, harboring within, that has been interfering with our ability essentially to create in a way that is fulfilling on these deeper levels. And then with the Magician on the back of the deck, to me it's like that's what we need to do to just come more fully into our power and to become the conduit of this Three of Wands energy and our ability to consciously create the direction that we, you know, wish to see things manifest along the lines of going forward. So that is what I'm saying about the tarot cards today, and I feel like that's another way of explaining the very same themes that full moon was explaining, and that the energy coming through to start our week this week and moving through really the whole week is explaining as well. Let's get a synchronicity card now. God, Spirit, Universe, what's one piece of advice that we should keep in mind as we move through our week this week, as we come up against the energies that are pushing and pulling on us this week? And look what it says, you guys. Obstructions removed. Exactly. So that is, even though we could feel like there's, it's like I was saying earlier, the interference right now, these blockages right now, they're not actually real. Like they don't actually have the staying power. They are, I actually don't even remember if I finished this thought earlier. I might have gotten distracted on a tangent, but I was trying to follow through with saying that a lot of the resistance, the blockage, the control system, the rules, the restrictions that we might feel like are overbearing right now, a lot of that stuff is not going to be lasting, okay? Especially with Saturn about to go retrograde, Saturn in Pisces. Like this is a breakdown of a control, breakdown of authority, exactly, like obstructions removed. So we need to try not to let things be sort of like the end of the world and not to take them too seriously this week, because they really are not set in stone, even if they may appear that way as we move through the energy right now. Rest in me, I have gone ahead and removed every stone. God has gone before you and removed every obstacle. Any obstacle you now perceive is a product of your own imagination. Let go and let God lead you. There is no wrong action. There is only right action. Follow the leads which come to you. So we are in this energy right now of a need to surrender the burden, right? To trust the process, to realize that this old energy, these old ways are showing out right now. You know what I mean? Like they're doing the most. So like thrashing and crashing around and like trying to really overly exert the last remaining bit of power and influence that they have. And they can do that. That's fine. It's like they need to spend all the last energy out of the battery. Okay. So we're just surrendering to the process with the understanding that a lot of that type of stuff that's going on right now is not set in stone, right? It is not, it's what's being washed away. The tide is just in right now. Everything might be stirring up and it might seem like the water's really deep, but actually it's just in a process of going way back out and taking all of that type of stuff with it on its way. So obstructions removed, you guys. That's what we need to keep in mind regardless of the presentations of this week. That's what I have to say. Message from the cards, message from the stars. I hope you guys guys liked it. If you did like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think they would also enjoy narrating the shift of the ages with us. Leave me comments. Your presence here is so valuable to me. I am so grateful for you guys. I really appreciate knowing what's going on with you, your feedback. If you're having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. These whiteboards, I post pictures of them in a Facebook group that I have that is linked in my description box below. Come back with me on Wednesday, you guys. We're going to be getting into more of this energy. Wednesday, as I said, we're gonna have a Pisces moon that we've got to talk about that is going to be conjoining Saturn and activating the Neptune black moon opposition. So we'll be wading back into some murky waters on Wednesday, you guys, and then we will have Saturn retrograde to talk about. So a full week of astrology, I'll be here to talk about it. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it, and I will see you next time, guys. And until then, have a beautiful start to your week. Bye.